You feel it sometimes, the weight, not heavy, just present, like someone's watching. But when you turn your head, there's nothing, no eyes, no noise, just the echo of being perceived. What if that feeling isn't paranoia, but a memory from a version of you that's already there, living the life you're still reaching for? Not a ghost, not a guide. You, watching, not judging, not waiting, just observing. Because the moment you stop chasing and start acting like you're already seen, the connection locks, the path bends, and reality folds. This isn't motivation, it's recognition. The future isn't far away. It's leaning in. When we think of the future, we imagine distance, more time, more steps, more becoming. But here's the paradox. The version of you that has it all doesn't live ahead of you. They live beside you, on a parallel rail, 1 inch away. You think you're chasing that version. But what if you're being studied by it? Like a mirror watching a reflection learn how to move. It already knows the outcome. It's already there. So the question is not, can I become them? It's, when will I stop pretending I'm not? Because every time you hesitate, every time you play small, every time you act like you're still trying, the mirror fogs. But the moment you move with certainty, as if someone is already witnessing your transformation, the reflection sharpens, the mirror clears, and you see it. You're not imagining them. They've been watching you this whole time. You're not trying to become. You're being remembered. You've been told to visualize, to affirm, to act as if. But what if this entire process of manifestation isn't about becoming something new, and instead about being remembered? The version of you that already has the life, the peace, the power, the presence, doesn't exist as a fantasy. It exists as memory, not from the past, but from a parallel outcome that's already real. You're not building this future self. You're syncing with it. You're not learning. You're aligning. The resistance you feel isn't from failure. It's from friction, the inner tension that comes when you keep pretending you're less than what you already are in another timeline. When you pause and feel that spark, that strange familiarity, that feeling of, I've done this before, don't dismiss it. That's recognition, and recognition is the beginning of return. The future you isn't far. It's inside the version of you you've buried under doubt, delay, and denial. It doesn't need to be created. It just needs permission to resurface. The version of you that has everything already exists. Not metaphorically, not in your imagination, literally, in another layer of reality. Quantum theory calls it a probability field. Spiritual traditions call it the higher self. You can call it whatever makes sense. The point is, it's not fiction, it's fact. Every action you take in this reality collapses a path, and every path leads to a version of you. Some are chaotic, some are worse than today. But one of them, and only one, is fully aligned. It's the timeline where everything works because you stopped resisting it. The mistake people make is thinking they need to create that future. But you don't create it. You choose it. And you choose it by syncing your behavior with the identity of that future self. Right now. That version of you isn't waiting. It's watching. Waiting for you to match the signal. Because when you do, the shift happens fast. Not magically. Mechanically. The path appears because the frequency is finally clear. Stop thinking the future is ahead of you. It's right beside you, waiting to be claimed. Manifestation doesn't attract. It aligns. You've been told manifestation is about attraction, that your mind works like a magnet, pulling events, people, and outcomes toward you. But attraction is a halfway truth. It's the kindergarten of manifestation. The real mechanism is alignment. You're not dragging the future toward you. You're shifting yourself into the timeline where it already exists. That's not magic. That's mechanics. Reality isn't static. It's layered, like frequencies on a radio. Your future self, the one who already has the thing, is broadcasting right now. If your thoughts, actions, and emotional tone match that frequency, the collapse happens fast. When people try to manifest from desperation or doubt, they're still broadcasting lack. They're saying, "I want it," but they're vibrating, "I don't have it." The result? Static, delay, resistance. True manifestation isn't about convincing the universe. It's about removing the parts of you that argue with what's already real. You don't get what you want. You get what you match. And when you match it, you don't attract the outcome. You step into the version of reality where it was always waiting. The observer field. Most people move through life thinking they're the only ones watching their story unfold. But there's something, or rather someone, always watching. And it's not God. It's not the universe. It's you. Not the you sitting here now, but the version of you who already became everything you're still fighting for. They're not imagining you. They're observing you. There is an energetic field that surrounds your identity, a quantum feedback loop between who you think you are and who you've already been. That field is always measuring alignment, not with judgment, but with resonance. Have you ever made a choice so instinctively, right, it felt like someone else nudged you? That wasn't intuition. That was recognition. The observer was watching, and for a brief second, you matched. When you act in fear, in hesitation, in overthinking, the observer fades, not because it left, but because it no longer recognizes the signal. The more you move like you're being watched by the version of you that already arrived, the more that field responds. It sharpens. It reflects. It begins to close the distance. You don't need to ask for help. You just need to signal clearly. The observer responds to clarity, not confusion. You feel watched because you are. There are moments when you pause for no reason. A chill on your skin, a tightening in your chest, a sudden silence in the middle of a sentence. You look around, but there's no one there. That's not paranoia. That's signal interference. Because you are being watched, not from the outside world, but from a parallel one. The version of you that already crossed the bridge is scanning you for alignment. Most people feel this as pressure, anxiety, or unexplained unease. They call it nerves, overthinking, even spiritual attack. But what you're really feeling is observation without identification. You've temporarily disconnected from the self that remembers, and your body knows it. You're out of sync, and the observer notices. But here's the power in that discomfort. It's not punishment. It's invitation. An invitation to realign, to remember, to return to the identity that's always been tracking your steps. So next time you feel that tension rise out of nowhere, don't run from it. Stand still and realize you're not alone. Your future self is watching, not judging, not interfering, just waiting for you to look back. Why action shifts reality, not desire. Desire feels powerful. It burns. It moves you. It whispers promises of what could be. But desire alone doesn't change your life. Action does. Desire without action is noise. It creates loops, fantasies, illusions of progress that never materialize. You can want something for years and remain in the exact same place. But a single act, in alignment, can split your entire reality open. The version of you that already has everything didn't get there by wanting harder. They moved different. They chose different. And they did it when it wasn't easy, when no evidence existed. That's what made it real. Action is the message your subconscious actually listens to. When you behave like your future self would, the body believes it. And when the body believes it, the field shifts. Time responds. Space contracts. And the external starts to match the internal. You don't need louder affirmations. You need quieter resistance. If you want to change your timeline, don't ask for permission. Don't wait for the right mood. Just move. Act like the observer is already watching. because they are. Quantum identity transfer. You've probably heard the phrase, fake it till you make it. But that's not what we're doing here. This isn't pretending. It's remembering. And it's far more powerful than performance. Quantum identity transfer is the process of syncing your current self with the fully realized version of you that already exists in a parallel timeline. Not by imagination, by behavior. This isn't about saying the right things or thinking positively. It's about asking one question before every decision. How would my future self handle this? And then doing that. When you align your posture, your tone, your focus, and your choices with the version of you that already succeeded, you begin to override the patterns that kept you stuck. It's not self-improvement, it's self-access. Your brain doesn't need time to become someone new. It needs evidence that change is safe. That evidence comes from micro-behaviors, the way you sit, the way you speak, the way you finish things you usually abandon. Each moment you act like your realized self, the observer responds, and the feedback loop begins. You start to feel different, not because your life changed, but because you changed the one living it. This is how the timeline jumps, not through desire, but through behavior that proves you've already arrived. The 3-second rule of alignment. Every day, you face dozens of tiny crossroads, moments that seem insignificant, but aren't. Hesitate, and you're on one timeline. Act with alignment, and you shift to another. That's where the 3-second rule comes in. The next time you feel resistance, confusion, or a decision hovering in front of you, stop and ask, what would my future self do? Then act on the answer within 3 seconds. No hesitation, no analysis, just execution. Why 3 seconds? Because after that, your mind kicks in with fear, doubt, and delay. It starts negotiating with limitation, and the opportunity dissolves. Your body knows first. Your observer knows always. And if you respond quickly enough, without overthinking, you reinforce the identity you've been trying to reach. This practice isn't about getting every choice right. It's about collapsing hesitation, showing the field and yourself that you trust the path enough to move without needing proof first. The future doesn't belong to the most prepared. It belongs to the most aligned, and alignment only lasts a few seconds before your mind tries to overwrite it. So when it speaks, move. That's how timelines break, not with force, but with immediacy. Look back at yourself. We're taught to visualize the future, to look forward, to imagine, to reach. But what if the true shift happens not when you look ahead, but when you let your future self look back? Close your eyes. Don't picture your goals. Picture yourself, right now, sitting, watching, thinking, struggling, from the perspective of the version of you who already crossed the bridge. They've made it. They've lived the path you're trying to build. And they remember this moment, the one you're in right now. Now ask, would they feel proud of how you're handling this moment? Would they want to help this version of you? Would they recognize you as someone worth pulling forward? This isn't about judgment. It's about coherence. Your future self is always broadcasting, but it only reaches you when there's a signal match, when your current self becomes someone that version respects enough to guide. This is the inversion of manifestation. You're not building something from nothing. You're becoming someone worth remembering, from the future. And when that connection locks in, you won't feel motivation. You'll feel pressure, not to perform, but to honor the life that's already waiting for you to catch up. Signs of synchronization. You won't always know when a timeline shift begins. It rarely announces itself with clarity, but your body knows, and your environment starts to react. These are the signs of synchronization, moments when your current identity begins overlapping with your future self. You may notice sudden moments of peace, even in the middle of chaos, as if something inside you knows the outcome is already written. You may feel a tightness release in your chest, or a rush of energy without stimulus. You might find yourself saying things you don't usually say, words with power behind them, precision, finality. Synchronicities increase. You see repeating numbers, overhear phrases that echo your thoughts, dream of people you haven't met. These aren't accidents, they're confirmations, markers from the observer saying, "You're getting close." You may also feel a strange discomfort, not pain, but pressure, like something inside you is trying to expand beyond the limits you've accepted for too long. That's the identity breaking open. That's the merge beginning. You'll start to notice that old behaviors feel heavier. Old environments feel too small. Old conversations feel like echoes from a life you no longer belong to. This isn't spiritual fluff. It's timeline feedback. And once it begins, you can't go back. The old version of you starts to dissolve, and the one that's been watching begins to take your place. Why most people never feel the shift? Most people never feel the shift, not because they're incapable, but because they're addicted to familiarity. They want change as long as it doesn't threaten their comfort, as long as it doesn't require death, of identity, of routine, of illusion. Manifestation sounds beautiful until it demands the one thing most won't give up, the version of themselves they've learned to tolerate. The shift isn't hard because it's hidden. It's hard because it's simple, and simplicity strips away the excuses. To align with your future self, you have to stop performing brokenness, stop repeating the story, stop romanticizing limitation. But many won't, because there's power in victimhood. There's safety in cycles. There's identity in struggle. They wait for the universe to deliver clarity while refusing to take the first aligned step that would unlock it. They keep asking for signs, but ignore the one in their own behavior. Here's the truth. The observer never stopped broadcasting. The signal was always there, but it doesn't scream. It doesn't beg. It waits. And if you won't match the frequency, it simply moves on to the version of you that will. You are not becoming. You are collapsing timelines. Transformation isn't a journey forward. It's the collapse of every version of you that was never real. You are not becoming anything. You are selecting. You are choosing the thread where the fully aligned version of you already exists, and you're cutting off the rest. People think growth is addition, more habits, more vision boards, more practices. But in quantum reality, growth is subtraction, less doubt, less noise, less negotiation with the past. Each decision you make isn't creating a future. It's collapsing the distance between now and what already is. When you choose differently, you're not becoming better. You're becoming accurate. That's why alignment feels like peace, not excitement. It's not adrenaline. It's the nervous system going quiet because you finally matched the pattern it was built to run. Collapsing timelines isn't dramatic. It doesn't need ceremony. It needs one thing: decisiveness. The observer doesn't move toward you. It waits for you to move toward it. And when you do, even once, the rest begins to fold in on itself. Not with a bang, with a click, like reality just snapped into place. You already sent this message to yourself. What if this entire video wasn't created for you? What if it was created by you, not the you sitting here now, but the one who already made it, the one who already solved the riddle, cracked the pattern, lived the life? Every sentence you've heard, every shift you've felt, every moment that hit deeper than logic, wasn't new. It was familiar, not because you've heard it before, but because you wrote it before. The pull you felt to press play. That wasn't curiosity. That was recognition. You've already walked this path in another thread of time, and that version of you needed one thing: for you to remember. To remember the observer. To remember the mirror. To remember that you're not here to chase your future. You're here to collapse into it. This wasn't a lesson. It was a signal. And you don't need to decode it. Just answer it. Because the version of you that sent this message is still watching. Look back. Step forward. You came here thinking you needed to learn something. But maybe you just needed to remember. This isn't the beginning of a journey. This is the moment you catch up to the one that already happened, the life already lived, the version of you already watching. So now, look back, not with guilt, not with shame, but with recognition, because the version of you who made it, they remember this moment. This is the turning point. You don't need to visualize. You don't need to beg the universe. You just need to behave like someone who's already being witnessed by their future. And then walk, not with hesitation, not with hope, with inevitability, because you've already arrived. Now move like it. Look back. Step forward. Don't stop. And when the archives open again, you'll feel it. Until next one. Astral Archives transmission complete.